I'm Lisa Evers, and this is Street Soldiers.
Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
Many people had hoped the tragic murder of Nipsey Hussle would be a wake-up call to put down the guns, but the opposite has happened. In both New York and Los Angeles, shooting incidents are up. So what's really going on? With a 2019 Grammy nomination under his belt, Nipsey Hussle's music career was on fast forward. Tens of thousands mourned his murder on March 31st by his Marathon clothing store in Los Angeles. There was hope it would serve as a warning about the price of deadly gun violence.
I don't think Nipsey's death changed anything, and I think, if anything, it just underscored the problem in the communities that we live in.
Community activist Shanduke McPhatter has been working with young people for nearly a decade to stop the kind of gun violence that took the life of his brother, Ronald McPhatter, in the Irving Plaza shooting in 2016. He believes the popularity of guns and gun violence in both hip-hop and Hollywood play a role, especially with teens who are increasingly the ones pulling the trigger.
I know as a young person, listening to certain music affected how I thought, how I responded. I know movies did that to me as well. So yeah, I hold all of that accountable, saying we need to look at it differently.
Reality TV star Maggie Carrie agrees. She was wounded in the Irving Plaza shooting and now has a metal rod in her leg. She considers herself lucky to be alive and is working to uplift the often forgotten female shooting survivors. She wants people to know the pain can last a lifetime.
My life has changed tragically. I can't go visit the neighborhoods I used to visit. I don't feel safe in environments that I should be used to, or partying. I need to know where the exits are, and just normal things that I should be able to do. A lot of heels in my closet I can't wear, sitting for a long time, standing for a long time.
There's many layers to this issue. Let's find out what our panel has to say. Joining me is Chuck Creekmur. He's the CEO and founder of allhiphop.com. Chuck, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Also with us is Maggie Carrie. She's a shooting survivor and activist. She's also a reality TV star. You see her on Love and Hip Hop New York. And she's also a business owner. Maggie, great to have you.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Also with us is Shanduke McPhatter. He's the CEO and founder of GMAC. He's a community activist and violence interrupter and a rehabilitated gang member. Shanduke, thank you so much for being with us.
Once again, thank you, Lisa.
We really appreciate it. Shanduke, why are we seeing this happening now?
Right now it's hot, it's summertime. And there are a lot of issues, a lot of conflicts that are happening in our communities involving music and the streets, right? Just the lifestyles that are happening. And once we come outside, we start to see the individuals. When you talk about social media beefs, you talk about all the things that are happening behind doors. These people got to come outside now. And now you start to see the individuals where you had all these conflicts and there's nobody in the middle to be able to mediate these conflicts. So the only options they go to is what they know, and that's that gun.
And that's the gun. And speaking of the gun, Chuck, after Nipsey, many people were shocked that he was murdered, particularly in the way that it happened, the timing that it happened, you know, with after the Grammy nomination and all of this big burst and boost to his career. What are people saying now about it? Or have people completely forgotten about this message that we were all supposed to learn from his death?
No, people are still talking about it. People are definitely, more than anything, I think they're still shocked. I think they're still wondering, like, how did this happen? And I think in a lot of ways there's a lot of conspiracies around it. I don't think people are able to quite wrap their brain around the fact that he was just shot and killed in cold blood right out in his own community, which really loved him, and also by, you know, a friend, so to speak, or an associate, if you will, you know, someone that he knew. I think most people are still looking for answers. You know, they just can't really wrap their brain around how it happened.
Maggie, and as for yourself as a shooting survivor, when you saw the whole Nipsey Hussle thing unfold, what kinds of feelings did that bring up in you?
I just couldn't believe it. Someone that gave back to his community and stayed in his community. A lot of people that are successful, they leave and they never come back. And for him to be outside of his own store so vulnerable was just like a vulnerable moment that I can identify with.
And then, but in terms of how people are feeling, because there were people saying, oh, you know what, this can't happen again, this has to stop. People were feeling like, oh, this is getting back to those periods where we saw a lot of artists being shot down in the streets. What do you think? Do you think people learned anything from that? Do you get a sense of that?
I don't. I feel like shootings, guns, it's been in our music for a long time. We're in a day and age where Instagram has everyone influenced. Our youth is influenced by everything that's going on, and I feel like today it's gotten worse. So I feel like it's just another, to them it's maybe another rapper, another, hip hop guy that's taken from us, and we just gotta, go outside, spray paint a mural, and go on with life.
Make another mural, and then life goes on. Shanduke, in terms of this, but you work with the youth. Your organization, GMAC, for years. You've been violence interrupters. You've been calming beefs down before people end up getting shot. What is the vibe like, especially in Brooklyn, because a lot of the rises happen there?
I mean, the vibe is what you see is because of the same issues as media, right? And the music is being promoted that way. The opportunities for our youth is nothing other than that, right? If it's not basketball, what else do they have other than music?
Chuck, in terms of the music industry, because there've been different times, as over the years, when there's been a tremendous amount of tension. People were afraid to go to certain concerts or certain artists if they were at a particular venue. Just a lot of tension overall, because something could pop off at any minute. What's your sense about where we are now, especially after Nipsey?
I think what we're finding is, a lack of security, a lapse in security in a lot of places that you normally didn't need to be frisked. I mean, everybody gets frisked, but now you find that someone might have, in the entourage, they might have a gun on them. Or
might have or will have.
Will have, yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, definitely will have. And, that's what happened at Irving Plaza, or, other places too. I don't want to name them because, a lot of them are trying to keep that.
Well, no, we've seen a number of shootouts and shootings at cars, at artists' cars, and that type of thing. That type of thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have to come to terms with the fact that this is a way for everyone. Everyone kind of benefits from a shooting. For example, social media, whoever's putting it up, they get a lot of likes, they get a lot of follows, they get a lot of views.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's hot content.
It's hot more in a lot of ways than one. Coming up, hip hop in Hollywood, are they adding to the problem?
I think we just have to be honest in that we have a problem.
Chuck, a lot of people point the finger at hip hop, but we have to be really fair. There's guns and violence have been big sellers in Hollywood, even in a lot of pop and rock music songs. Why does hip hop always come in the crosshairs?
Well, we have a different situation in our communities than other communities do. So I think the reason hip hop gets a bad rap is because you have people who rap about it, and then you have people who either live it at this point, or people who emulate those that rap about it. And I think it's a difference. I think we just have to be honest in that we have a problem, and I'm the biggest about, the rap reflects the reality, et cetera, and I get it. But if you look at the content that we used to pump out back in the day, it was just different. We had a good balance, if nothing else. And I think that balance is lost. And
it's skewed.
It's skewed, and you have rappers like, say, Ice-T. I know we're going far back, but there was a message behind the violence. There was consequences behind the violence. Now, you might rap about putting a hole in somebody the size of a dinner plate, and then nothing happens after that. It's just okay. That's the end of the story.
Maggie, a lot of times too, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's hip hop, but especially in hip hop too, we hear about people being shot. We hear about people, like your brother, like Shanduke's brother, Ronald, may rest in power. We hear about people being shot, and then we never really see, as Chuck said, the aftermath. What did being shot in Irving Plaza, how did that affect your life?
It affected my life in many ways. I was in foster care for a while, so I grew up in many neighborhoods that I'm actually scared to go back to. One of my close friends lives, in housing, and I have to tell her that I'm there before I'm actually there, just because, I feel vulnerable waiting around. Even like these new cars that's out that got the little mufflers that spit out fire, and it just sounds like when I was walking up the street just now, like things like that. It's triggers, it's heels I can't wear, it's places I can't go, it's I can't do yoga, I can't do so many things that you can't look at a person and tell. But the most hurting thing, I should say, is the vulnerability. Like, just being, you feel like anything can happen at any time. The movies, the anywhere.
So you feel would you say you feel continually unsafe, constantly unsafe?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's PTSD. I mean, you just feel vulnerable. Like, something can happen anywhere. Once you watch the news and something happened in the movie theater, or you go to a concert, something is happening there, you're where you're supposed to be. At this point, you're not in the hood, you're not on the stoop, you're at a concert with security, where
everyone was supposedly frisked going in.
Exactly.
Shanduke, what about the effect on you and your family when Ronald was killed?
Well, that effect is every day. That effect won't ever stop. My family won't ever be the same. I'm not the same. I guess it helps me because of who I am and what I'm doing. It helps me identify for other people, the traumas that they're going through. That's like how me and Maggie are working together, do a lot of different things, dealing with the survivors, just like herself, who just happened to be at a place and something like that
at
happens.
A club for a concert.
Right? But even going back to earlier, we talk about accountability. We look at these clubs and how these clubs don't have no accountability, right? They sell overpriced alcohol, pay these celebrities to come, and they pay these celebrities and give them the same alcohol that people were paying for, and they're allowing these non-trained professionals to secure the environment. And you give a non-trained professional an opportunity to make $1 on the side, he gonna let that person in that door, right? So we looking at how these people are not being held accountable as well.
Still ahead, how do we come together to find solutions? In terms of what we can do to come together to find solutions, Chuck, a lot of people used to blame the music industry when they have much tighter control over artists, the content, and their careers. Should the music industry bear some responsibility with this at this point?
Of course, yeah. Yes and no. I mean, look at it. Look again. Think about what we're listening to. The majority of what we listen to is sex and violence. Those two subjects are dominating music right now. So I think so. And obviously, if you're a young rapper and you're trying to get on, you're going to do what? Sex and violence. So I would definitely say that they bear some responsibility. You don't see artists that have the more substantial content anymore. You don't have a Ice Cube even. You know what I'm saying? So they exist, but they're just not popularized. So I feel like they need to get more people who have that content and give them the same marketing budget they give a Cardi B. Not to single her out or anything, because I think she's smart, but give the smarter and the more.
I disagree with that, no, bro. Because Cardi uses her platform. Let's talk about ones who don't use her platform. She used her platform to fight against injustice, though.
No, I'm not. No, don't get me
right.
wrong. I'm not dissing Cardi. I like Cardi, so I'm just using.
But wait,
her.
since you brought up Cardi and her latest video, have you all seen the video for press? Mm-hmm. At the end of the video, there's a very graphic scene of gun violence where she shoots all the backup dancers. They're bleeding, they're lying on the floor, and it's very violent. Maggie, when you saw that, did you see that video? Or could you not look at it? Or what did you, tell us how you felt.
No, I did. I mean, it's weird for me. I know people use their platforms. They're also like craft to me. Like,
right.
So I wouldn't necessarily do a video shoot like that. But I know that's not, where her heart is. I know she's not going to go influence little girls to go pick
up a gun and shoot people.
Yeah, just
it's more of a creative. You're saying it's more like a movie. It would be like a creative.
So I'm gonna give you an example of that, and it's the same with the brother with her. What she's saying with Cardi in that example. If you look at her content, her music, right? That what you just used versus what she recently posts on social media. Her recent post on social media is her and her pure passion speaking about the prosecutors in the case of the exonerated 5. And how people are not following up and putting the same pressure they put on R. Kelly to get this person out of that seat in the district attorney's office. this is real. This is not your craft. There's a difference.
Or even Junior.
Right? And
When the
Junior,
little boy
speaking
got
on
killed.
Junior,
Yeah.
she spoke with when you talk about even voting for Jumaane Williams when he was out talking about real public advocate that was fighting for the
she's
people.
talking about real issues
Yeah,
with that.
she used her platform for real public. That's the only reason I cut you off, bro, when we say her, right? There's artists who have a stronger platform than her and don't do none of that.
Right, and don't get involved in anything.
Nothing.
But what about, Maggie, in terms of the women? Tell us, because as you started to speak out more about your experience, and I really thank you for sharing it and for really supporting other women, because I feel like, here's another example of where women, what happens to us is being ignored or being marginalized because the main dialogue and the main narrative is about men. What did you learn from posting about your experience? And a lot of women have come forward to you. Tell us about that.
So I was thankful for Love and Hip Hop to share my story. I'm a overly emotional human being. People can't see that through pictures and social media and things like that. So I felt like when we have to deal with scars, and I still have a bullet in my leg. I have a rod from my knee to my hip. But you can't see that. So I was grateful to be able to go on TV and share my story. So I would say about maybe 30 girls reached out from all over the world. Some paralyzed. One girl is missing an eye. Just so many different stories. I started a group chat called Wounded But Alive, where everybody can share their stories and we all can identify and we all have compassion and sympathy and for each other, something that we can't get through, our mates or, anyone in the world. We don't have grief therapy available. So I also teamed up with Shanduke and GMAC to power an organization to give these girls grief therapy and makeup and, fly them in and get them massages and do paint parties.
That's
and
great.
Just talk and just heal.
Next, the conversation continues. Chuck, in terms of hip hop too, a lot of people do talk about the message, and again, we don't want to blame hip hop because this is in Hollywood, it's in the movies, it's in American culture. The most successful films have often been the most violent ones, with the most gunplay. But in terms of artists, people point to J. Cole. They point to a Kendrick Lamar. They say these artists are saying very serious things. They're two of the biggest that are out there and the most successful. Do you see the new generation of artists that are coming up, the ones that are emerging in that vein?
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're tuned in, you know that it is changing slowly but surely. There's a lot of dope lyricists, and what I actually appreciate is that these guys are beginning to show, again, the range that hip hop really has, and really showing that they really work on their craft. Like back in my day, you would stay in your basement for like forever until you perfected your craft, and then you came out. But that took time, that took energy, and I think a lot of the issue that we're seeing is kids, when you get to that violent level, right? Like in between there, what are you doing with yourself in that idle time? Like, is there a YMCA? Is there a boys club? Right? Is there an after school program?
Not really.
Right. That's my point. There's no
place to go.
There's no place to go. There's no
safe place to go.
Exactly.
You're out on the streets, and then you're feeling vulnerable.
So you got to get your gun because you're out in the streets and everybody's out there.
Maggie, knowing what you know and going through what you go through, like if people want to change, all people, even people that aren't really aware of what's going on, to the extent that you are from such a deeply personal level, what should they do? What would you say to people in terms of attitudes? Yeah, all people. Like what could they do if they want to make change?
I just think if you want to live a great life, if you want to live, period, it starts with just knowing just that you want to live. Like that, no matter who you are, if you could look in the mirror and say you want to live, then that's good enough. Because if you're robbing, then you're going to go to jail. If you're a gangster, then you're likely going to be killed. If you're, just anybody reckless and you in the wrong place at the wrong time, you're going to hurt someone else. So just be mindful and just know that no life is worth being taken or being incarcerated or, getting shot or, no longer being here.
All right. Well, on that note, I want to thank you all for being with us for this episode of Street Soldiers. Chuck Creekmore, great to have you back again with us. Maggie Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And Shanduke McPhatter, great to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers. I'm Lisa Evers. Remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I hope it's your only weapon. Let's push for peace.